Welcome back to the CMB Sports Show. I'm your host, Braylon Brakefield. Here with me, my good friend and co-host, Cole Lepschitz. Cole, what's up, bro?
What's going on, man? It's, I still feel like I'm hungover from Christmas. I'm still chug-a-lugging, trying to grind it out. Usually, I feel like this time of year is like baseball season's right around the corner. It's just not that way anymore. So I'm trying to, find another way to cope with my feelings. And, talking about villains is one of them.
Yeah, we see a new villain emerging in college football, so I think it's a good time for us to do a fictional villains draft. So I say we go ahead and kick that off. I'll go ahead and
let's do it.
See how I can do this. I'll just do my entire screen. Share it.
Do it.
Here we go.
I don't see nothing.
Now is it showing it?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Here we go.
Boom.
For the first pick in the fictional villains draft. I got it.
Really?
See the way I stopped that? Just stopped it on the dime. Alright. Alright. I got the first. We're just going straight draft. Okay.
So 1-2-1-2, right?
Yeah. I'm taking.
I like that.
My favorite fictional villain of all time. Then I'm taking the Joker. Heath Ledger is the Joker. That's the greatest acting performance of all time. He's what I think of when I think of bad guys. Like he's the bad guy in the movie, and he's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's like you almost like, you have a good villain when you want to know more about that villain. You want to do like a deep dive into what makes him a bad guy, and then kind of, what makes him so evil, and then like kind of, I guess, like that's when like those background stories come in handy. And then you have great actors play on, like when Heath Ledger did it. Like the Joker was great before Heath Ledger, and then he just took it to another level.
Yeah, he put it over the top.
Like that just makes villains pretty special.
Yeah, Heath Ledger's he was a great actor before that role, but forever I feel like he goes down as the Joker.
Yeah, for sure. So for my first one, I think the Joker was definitely a 1-1. I think the hardest thing when you have a 1-1 is coming up with a 1-2. But I gotta go with the history here is Darth Vader. He's like just the worst of the worst kind of guy. That's still got he's got one of those guys that has a really cool story. They kind of go through his whole childhood, and then being raised as a Jedi, and he gets overcome by the dark side. It's just a classic get to know your villain kind of story. And then I couldn't imagine what it was like being in those theaters when he tells Luke that he's his father before everybody else knows. Like the reveal back then, because like now it's like we all know.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine what that felt like. That'd be crazy. Without any context or anything. He's just like, hey, bro, I'm your dad.
Yeah.
What? It's like, how? With who? They don't know any of that information. He just grew up with his aunt and uncle, so Luke did. So pretty weird. But yeah, no, Darth Vader, terrible guy, super powerful guy, totally filled with rage, and he's my first pick of the draft.
Yeah, that would have been that was the pick number 2 for me. And really, I feel like the Joker and Darth Vader are kind of a toss-up. I think Heath Ledger is really what gives the Joker the edge. But Darth Vader is great. Like, he's the main reason why, 4, 5, and 6 are the most watched Star Wars, with him kind of the main character, basically. But for my second pick, It's bad, like when you're a villain and you're doing family dirty. That's when it crosses over to where this guy's just a real big scumbag. I'm taking Scar from The Lion King. Like, just the absolute worst. Just killed his brother cold-blooded, overtook him. Just an all-around bad guy.
Yeah, that's a dirtbag move. Dirtbag move. I mean, think about your brother, man. That's your brother. That's your bro. And you're just going to kill him?
All for some power.
You know? I mean, I don't know, man. It's pretty messed up, if you ask me. Probably should have thrown up some red flags, though. Do you think his name was always Scar? I feel like it's a pretty evil name.
It's got to be a nickname.
There's no way that was his name, right?
Unless he was born with that scar. No way they were like,
you're Scar, and you're going to grow up to be a good guy. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself as a parent. That's pretty good. For my second round pick, I'm going to go with Baltimore. Depending on the crowd you're in, this might be a number one for some people. I think that he's just a downright dirty dude. This is another one where you get to know the villain a lot in the movies or throughout the movies, and I think that's pretty cool. I think it's cool when you just don't have a bad guy, and it's like you just have to accept the fact that he's a bad guy. You get to know why he's a bad guy. And that's one of my favorite things about fictional villains. And he takes the cake. That's another great performance. I can't remember that actor's name off the top of my head, but he does a really good job. And just the whole storyline of Baltimore is really cool too. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not huge into those, but I do respect it. I mean, that's a name that's always thrown around when you think about the worst villain, so it's definitely there. It's just not really my cup of tea. Well, really, I wouldn't even say that. It's just I've never seen all the movies.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable.
But for number 3 with me, sometimes when it comes to these drafts, you have to find someone that has longevity. Somebody that is tough to get rid of, and they're almost like likable at a point, and I'm taking the Wet Bandits. I'm taking Harry and Marv from Home Alone. They were in...
Yep.
I mean, you just couldn't get rid of them. They just kept showing back up.
Yep. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good, one that's like doesn't really come to mind right off the bat, so that makes it a great third round pick. Kind of laying there, and you're like, what separates this draft from another draft? That's a good pick.
Thank you.
That's a good pick. I'm going to kind of go with you on that. Just a little bit different direction, but I'm going to go Drago from Rocky IV. Dude that is just hard to get rid of. He literally killed Apollo Creed in the ring. He gave us 2 more movies after that, all because of him. With Creed, growing up without a dad. So that's kind of cool. Following a death, if you can make 2 more movies out of it, that's a pretty good writing, I would say. But yeah, no, Drago is nasty. I think in a real world scenario, he's beaten Rocky 9 times out of 10. There was definitely a fix in there, just with it being Christmas, and we'll call it a Christmas miracle. If that movie's written by a Russian, or if there's a Russian even on the same block, I don't think Rocky wins that one. Just by looking at the size, I don't even think they're in the same weight class, so I don't know what they're doing boxing each other. But hey, I don't make the rules, so we'll call it even. We'll make him number 3 in my pick.
Yeah, that is a great pick. I mean, Drago is just this dude, like, built in a lab somewhere in Russia just to beat up everyone that's ever walked the earth.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean, I think that's a great pick. Another one where it's just not in my alley. I'm just gonna keep picking what I know, but
hey, yeah, state
I see
yourself.
that's a great pick. I think that might be one that wins you over by a lot of people. Because I think a lot of people would put him as, like, the best villain of all time.
Right. Especially sports villain.
Yeah, I would say he's definitely best sports villain of all time. Okay, 4 is what I'm going to get. My first 4 were the ones I wanted. And this is where the gap comes in. And this is where I'll have to start getting a little creative. But, I mean, this could just be because of the days I'm in right now with a 6-month-old who will only sleep watching Cars. Chick Hicks was a dirtbag, dude.
Dirtbag.
The king crashes, and Lightning slams on the brakes, goes to go pick him up. Chick just flies past him to win, thinking he's going to get Dynaco. And he even celebrates. Nobody even celebrated but him. He expected the champagne showers, didn't get it because by that point he had no fans. He was such a bad villain, or such a good villain, that everyone at that point hated him.
Yeah, not even, one thing I always thought about, maybe this was just me being a weirdo, like, where was his team? I guess his team left. I don't think they ever really showed it, but, you think if a driver wins, his team would at least celebrate with him, and they didn't. If anything, they were probably the ones aiming the confetti cannons, dent in his doors.
Right at him.
Yeah. Which is hilarious.
And he never saw it coming because you couldn't squeeze one more sticker on that guy's side windows. He is stickered up all the way.
Dude has so many sponsorships, he doesn't even know like what's going on. He's probably got a full booklet of his sponsorships. I mean, he's over here like, flipping through. It's like, I'm booked up, man. I got no more room for stickers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they were so small. He had to have been selling those sponsorships for like 50 cents a pop. Like there was thousands of stickers on those windows.
Terrible marketing decision too. If you're one of those companies that bought one of those spots, nobody's seeing it.
No,
unless you bought like 10 of them. Nobody's seeing it. No, that's a good pick. I hate Chick Hicks.
He's the worst.
I hate his body style was awful too. It was just older, when everybody else had the newer body style. So there's no way he would even be able to compete, with the modern body styles as we see in the next few movies. That is actually a pretty big impact.
Yeah, he would have been smoked in Cars 3.
Oh my gosh, smoked. And, do you ever see another Dynaco car? That's my question. Who did they go with? They just get out of the sport?
Probably. I know they offered it to Lightning, but he stuck with Rusties.
Yeah, and they said, man, if we can't get Lightning, like, he's bottom of the barrel. We just get out of here?
Might have. I don't remember if they signed Chick Hicks or not. I really don't like Cars 2 or 3. I try to just stick with Cars and Cars on the road.
Cars 2 is pretty bad.
Yeah, very bad.
Cars 3 is watchable, but
I agree.
Cars 1 is the GOAT.
Oh yeah.
I need to get my wits about me again and see where I'm at on this list. What round are we in? 4?
4.
This is another one where I'm going to have to get kind of creative as well. I think this is kind of a classic. And it's going to be the shark in Jaws. I can't even say it with a straight face. Just a really bad guy. Sharks really aren't supposed to have a taste for flesh or human flesh. They're kind of just will bump you and see what you're doing. It's kind of their form of a dap up. And if you got a little blood coming from a little scratch or something, they might take a nibble of you, but. I think statistically there's not a whole lot of shark killings, and this dude just said, "Oh man, to heck with the rules. I don't care about your laws."
Yeah, he's putting up numbies.
Yeah, I mean he's I don't know, man. He's just a really bad guy. I feel like he had something going on with his mentals or something. Probably his tuna girlfriend or whatever probably broke up with him, and.
That was his villain origin story. He's putting up like Wilt Chamberlain numbers. Like, he was just...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He was a different breed.
Oh, he's a legend. He's a legend in the shark community, no doubt.
For sure. He ran so the guy on Finding Nemo could walk.
Facts.
It's supposed to be the other way around, but Jaws definitely put up bigger numbers than... What is that guy's name?
Yeah. No, Jaws ain't never walked in his life.
No,
Bruce?
he was full tilt. Bruce. Fish or Fred, not food.
Bruce.
All right. I've got a lot of honorable mention, but my fifth pick, this guy doesn't get talked about enough, just how rude and how mean he is. I'm taking Kid Rock from Joe Dirt. I mean, he says,
Oh, yeah.
you know, why don't you run off and get a wham burger and some French fries? Like, he's just, he, drives right past Joe, and he's like, oh, did I get you? And Joe's like, no, I'm cool. And he's like, no, you're not. Like, just rude. Just downright rude. He wouldn't cut Joe any slack.
He's kind of quick, though, like with his comebacks. Real witty.
Oh,
Real
yeah.
witty guy.
I think that's what makes him a great villain.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. No doubt about it.
All right, Mr. Irrelevant. Let me get into some honorable mentions.
This one's tough, man. It's like, which direction do you want to go? Because I got three left that I feel like are three winners. But it's like, which way do you want to go? They're all in three different directions. But to secure the win, I'm going to have to go with the Wicked Witch of the West. From The Wizard of Oz. Just a downright, dirtbag. Really, I don't really know what to call her. First and foremost, she's painted up with green lead paint. Not good for the skin. Not good for the skin. She's trying to scare, a lion. What'd she do to Tin Man? Probably played mind games or something with him because he wanted a brain.
He was pretty dumb.
Ripping up, told her minions to rip up Scarecrow. I mean, that's just downright dirty. I mean, that man's just minding his own business, trying to go see the president, pretty much, in the Emerald City. She's not having it. So, did they kill her sister? Yeah, they did, and stole her shoes. So, I mean, I get it, but take it to court. Trust the system.
You gotta have an origin story. Every great villain has an origin story, and hers started with her sister being killed, and then them stealing her shoes was just what pushed her over the edge, and then she couldn't come back from that.
I mean, I get it, I get it. I don't want to sit here and say, like, I'm on her side, but I get it.
All right, we got some. See, I'll run through my honorable mentions. First, Jason. Jason probably could have been drafted by me. But, as of today, Chick Hicks is more of a villain in my everyday life. Kid Rock has to be taken because we need to talk more about just how mean he is to Joe Dirt. Hannibal Lecter.
Not fair.
I always thought Hannibal Lecter was based on a true story. Turns out it's not. Bowser from Mario.
Oh, yeah.
Plankton.
Not
Plankton
a good guy.
Oh, no. Great on Mario Kart, though. He should be one of your first picks. But
or Mario Baseball.
Oh, yeah. He hits freaking nukes. Plankton from SpongeBob. The dude just wouldn't give it up. I mean, he was just trying to wreck Mr. Krabs' life. And then the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. He tries to kill his son's best friend. And then his son's best friend ends up swiping his best friend's girlfriend. That's another... That'd
kind
be
of a
tough to come
dirtbag
from.
family. Yeah. To circle back to Plankton, man, how many small business loans do you think he's handling right now? I mean, it's got to be a bunch. There's no way he's holding any profit.
Oh, no. The chum bucket wasn't... There was no revenue there. That was...
I mean, he's got to be drowning in debt.
I don't know what his daily life was. I don't think holographic meatloaf cost anything. So I think
True.
him eating that for every meal was probably pretty sufficient. I don't think I've ever seen him really drive much. So I think his form of transportation was pretty minimal.
That bucket probably fell down too, you know what I mean? Like he just came up on it. He probably didn't really own land.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe when he first got it. And then, he's probably working off a wave. They got that wave energy now or whatever, where they're harnessing the power of waves. So he's probably got that going on too. So he might be able to afford it. I mean, he is serving up chum.
Yeah.
Which I'm under the impression that's just scraps.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But some of my honorable mentions were Bane from Batman. I feel like he's one of those guys that just didn't go away. He was extremely smart, extremely athletic, extremely ruthless, and then, come to find out it's all because of some chick, Ra's al Ghul's daughter, that he's in love with, and she just lets him die. So, focus on yourself, I guess, is the message from that. And then the next one is the Grinch. Bad guy for about 90% of the movie. Then he's a really good guy. But I feel like for that 90%, he's just the worst. Stealing Christmas presents from the tree. Not from the factory. From the tree. That's a little much. That's a little extra. The Monstars. Pretty terrible guys. Just stealing Chuck's athletic ability, not cool. Which, you look at Chuck now, and it's like, I think they still got it. Like they never gave it back. And then Biff from Back to the Future. Just terrible in all the movies. But he did steal that betting book or whatever, the sports almanac, and made bukus of money, which is a dream of mine. So, Future Cole, if you're out there and you're wondering what I want as a wedding present or a birthday present or for Easter, it's all right there within 2 weeks span. That's what I want. You can just wrap it all into one gift. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
That's all I got. I mean, you could pick. We could just bandwagon the next like FIFA team, because we'd already know who won it, and we could bandwagon it and look like geniuses because we're just putting, we're taking out loans, putting it on there, repaying the loan, taking the profit, flipping it into a business, and it's all clean.
That's always like when people talk about time travel. It's like, what would you do? It's like, well, I'd go back in time. I don't remember who it was, but there was a team that had like the worst odds of all time to win the EuroLeague Cup or something, and they won it. It was just, you could have made like millions and millions off of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, just imagine like who was it? Who was the 16 seed that beat Virginia a couple years ago? Was it UMBC?
Yes.
Just imagine putting, I don't know, just a paycheck on them. Think about how much money you'd have. Money line?
Or live betting the Patriots.
That'd get you.
They're down 28-3.
Yeah. Brutal, man.
It'd be unreal. Live betting the Cavs and they're down 3-1.
Oh, yeah.
Or taking the Cavs and they're down 3-1.
What's another one, man? There's got to be another one. I mean, just bet. Well, no, I guess at some point, Tiger became too much of a favorite.
Yeah.
There could be somebody in there that you could. I mean, you could just. Knowing like the golfing outcomes would be just a moneymaker in itself.
Oh, yeah. You can make tons of money with that every week.
Yeah, because everybody's, plus 200 to win it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, man. So, what, now that the college football season's wrapped up, what's your thoughts?
I just think Georgia's that team now. Like, I think a team, you look at how deep that defense was, even when the starters came out, in the third and fourth quarter. I mean, I honestly feel like their defense got better. Like, TCU's
they
offense
definitely
is
were
worse
playing harder
after the starters came out. Like, I think they're at the point now where it's like they're just going to keep getting better because they are the team right now. Like, if you're a defensive player, that's where you go. If they can just keep a couple offensive skill guys and just be competent on the offensive side, their defense is good enough to just do crazy things year in and year out.
Yeah, I mean, with Kirby as your coordinator, you're going to be good. It doesn't matter if you got a bunch of Slade Boldens out there. Like, you're going to be good just by scheme and how prepared you're going to be based on that. I mean, it honestly looked like they knew what TCU was running before they were running it. Like, they just had them bottled up, which, I don't really know what it really doesn't prove anything to me. And I mean, TCU is a gutty team. I don't know what the word is. Got a lot of guts. But when you come up in the championship, Georgia's got 14 games to watch. I mean, good luck, I guess. Like, they've been studying you for a month, So, I don't know. I don't think, it was, like we said before, really wasn't a good matchup for TCU. They like to play physical and kind of take it to them, and that's what Georgia wants you to do. What Georgia doesn't want you to do is what Ohio State does, what Tennessee does. They run around a lot. They go super fast. That's what gets Alabama in trouble, gets Georgia in trouble. But, yeah, I think it was just a bad matchup for TCU. I don't think it's really like TCU was that much less of a team. They definitely didn't have, like, the guys based on recruiting, looking back. But, I mean, they took it to Michigan, who does have those dudes. So it's like, what do you think? But I think if anybody has a complaint, I know you said, I've heard Brandon Walker say it, blame the Big Ten or blame Michigan. I say blame Tennessee. You beat South Carolina. We don't have to hear any of this noise. Blame Alabama. You beat Tennessee or LSU. We don't have to hear none of this noise. Clemson. If they beat South Carolina, we don't have to hear any of this noise. So, the Big Ten, Michigan just kind of caught the raw end of the deal. But that's my thoughts on that. I do want to look over to recruiting. I know Auburn fans are super pumped about recruiting now, when this used to be y'all's nightmare. I know in the transfer portal y'all are looking pretty good.
Yeah, top 3 last I saw. It's just the main thing for me is we have like the number 1 offensive line recruiting class coming in. We got the 2 biggest JUCO transfers, and we picked up 2 or 3 other guys. And I just feel like the coaches before Hugh just didn't care about that. That wasn't priority number 1 when it should be. Because we saw it with Michigan. You have a decent skill guys with a great O-line, and those guys look great. And the other way around, it don't work. Like, if you have a bad O-line and great skill guys, that's not going to work. So regardless of how good you recruit in that category, you have to have an offensive line. The game starts in the trenches.
Yeah. No, I think just good recruiting in general is very important. You can look at the playoffs ever since they were started, and the top 4 teams that are the 4 teams that make it are going to be in the top 10 of recruiting, the 4 years prior. And that's just how it works. I think TCU is probably one of the first that is like the special case, I would say. Or maybe Cincinnati. But you look at Cincinnati's roster, and it's actually pretty good. I mean, you got a dude who never gave up a touchdown, still played 1 year in the NFL, still hasn't given up a touchdown in man-on-man coverage. That's against the best of the best. So, I would say they're probably allowed a buy on that. I think TCU probably it's too early to tell, but.
TCU is crushing the transfer portal and recruiting right now too, because of you talk about, like, this year was basically it was the year of TCU basically. Like, if you were tracking the Big 12, like, every team was supposed to beat them. Like, Vegas could never figure them out. Nobody could. It was like nobody thought they were any good, but they just kept winning. And that's why, I don't fault TCU for being there and being, way outmatched when it comes to the Georgia game, because they're in that spot. Like, they win all their games. They lose to Kansas State in the conference championship. I think a lot of people are overlooking that TCU had already beat Kansas State. It's extremely tough to beat a team twice. And I know that's, not really an excuse for them losing, but that's tough. It's tough to beat an interconference team twice in the same season. And then, they go and they beat Michigan, who everyone thought was going to blow their doors off. They thought Michigan was the second best team in the country, and it wasn't close. Basically thought it was Georgia versus Michigan set in stone, and then TCU beats them. So it's like you can't blame the committee because they put Michigan ahead of them to beat them. You can't blame TCU because they're just doing what they're supposed to do. They won all their games. Like, it's not their fault that Alabama lost twice and that Tennessee lost twice and that Clemson lost twice. All these teams that, talent-wise, should have been there, that's not their fault. They're there. It's just the way that the cookie crumbles, and I don't blame them for getting beat, 65-7 or whatever it was. That's brutal. But I think, the best, outside of Max Duggan and, the wide receiver, I think the best 26 players on the field were Georgia's. Like, what do you do in that when Georgia's backup defense is better than your starting defense?
Yeah, I mean, that's literally, they said that, I think during the game, or maybe it was after the game, they were talking about Georgia's defense, or the scout team, whoever the Stetson Bennett were going up against in practice was probably better than TCU's starting defense. Which is never a good thing.
Yeah, because Kirby said, shout out to the, practice squad defense for getting us ready for what TCU is going to throw at us. And then when those guys come on the field, it's like, TCU's defense doesn't hold a candle to this. So this last 2 weeks or whatever it was, they've been facing a better version of what they had to play in the game.
And people ask, I'm not a huge pro SEC guy. I do like when the SEC wins because it makes Alabama look better when Alabama dominates. Just as a selfish fan, but I will say that's what makes, when somebody asks me, why do you think the SEC is better than every conference? That's why. Because the dudes you practice against are better than the dudes that you play against. 85% of the time. When you go to Alabama, LSU, Florida, Georgia, Auburn, Tennessee, South Carolina, A&M, the dudes you practice against are going to be better than any out-of-conference defense you play. More than likely. And then you got to go play that team's starting defense that week, and then the week after that, and the week after that. So, I think that there's that stat that the SEC played the Big 12 champion and beat them, or we were 4-0 or something against the Big 12 and the Big 10 champions and runner-up or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's just what you're going to get. And I'm not going to listen to any nonsense where the Big 10 is better than the SEC. I don't care.
Oh, no. When it comes to college football, the SEC is head and shoulders above everyone. And I think throughout the year, you can try to convince yourself the Big 10 is, at least in that conversation, and they're just not. I don't think the Big 12, I think the Big 12 was, I don't think they had a bad team in the conference. They didn't have a great team in the conference either. Every game was going to be tough, but there was nobody that was a guaranteed loss for a decent team. And, I saw Josh Heupel saying, they said, how do you fix the playoffs? And he said, you just put the 4 best SEC teams in it and just let them figure it out. And he's really not wrong. That's where it comes down
he's not
to.
Far from it.
Is it the 4 best teams or is it the 4 most deserving teams? And I lean most deserving because I feel like that's how it should be. You should win your way into that spot. But the 4 best teams, would have been probably Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee and Alabama. Like, that was probably the 4 best teams talent-wise in the country.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Michigan has a say, in there with Alabama and Tennessee. I mean, obviously they killed Ohio State at Ohio State, but man, I just feel like that's like one of those kind of out of nowhere wins. Like I hate to be a hater, but like I just don't put much weight into that win. I feel like Ohio State's the better team, and they proved that playing against Georgia. Like, that wasn't us. I think they kind of needed to just be woken up, and they never really got that throughout the season because the Big Ten is so top heavy. So, but I think that I think that Alabama's future is fine. We have the number 1 recruiting class right now coming in. Got a lot of 5 stars, a lot of 4 stars. So, and I think a lot of them are going to be ready to play. I think that's what Nick is kind of hinting at. And, I think Nick will have a different energy about him this year. With or without Bill O'Brien. I don't know if he's coming or going, but whatever it is, I think either way will be fine.
Yeah, for the first time, there's hope around the Auburn program in a while, so I'm excited about that. Yeah. Also, do we root for the 2 best teams in the SEC basketball? Because nobody else,
I think so,
is showing up. Like, Arkansas is supposed to be the best team in the conference. Both of them smacked them back-to-back games. I know they're missing their best player, but still, he's not going to make up for 30-point games. Like, both of us beat them by like 25.
Yeah, they face guarded Brandon Miller the whole game, and it didn't even matter. Like, we still got the dudes around him to kind of take over, and then he only missed 1 shot last night. So I think he was pretty aggravated by the face guard. He just hits 2 daggers, 2 possessions in a row. He's a special player. And then, I mean, Auburn got that transfer in, right? What's his name? I've only watched y'all once, but every time I look,
John I.
Yeah, he's
got
a weird name. And every time I watch or look at the box score, he's leading in points or something.
He's figuring it out. He was like the big recruit in the country, really, and then ended up coming to Auburn. He started off a little slower, but he's starting to figure it out. And when Wendell's on, there's nobody better than Wendell when he's on fire. He's open from the time he crosses the half court line, and like he's in range. I think he scored like 26 or something the other night. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's nice. And like Alabama has a guy that's kind of like Wendell. His name is Sears. He's kind of a lighter skinned fellow, but he's like that where he can just pull it up from wherever. And he's really good. It's nice having a shooting guard that can just kind of pull it, or he's not a pass first kind of guy, or maybe he is a pass first guy, but if he has to take a shot, he will, and he'll hit it. Like that's nice. Even Colin Sexton wasn't like that. Like he was kind of a spot up 3-point shooter, kind of get to the rim kind of guy. But I definitely like having that on, kind of having it in your bag, I guess. But I don't know, man. I'm ready for. I'm just excited that SEC plays here, and I'm ready for Alabama and Auburn to play each other because I haven't seen anybody else that's any good in the SEC this year.
Kentucky's not what we thought they were. Arkansas is going through a little lull. I don't think they're a bad team. I just think.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They play physical.
Yeah, just one of their spots in the year where just shots ain't falling. It just is what it is. But I don't think Kentucky's going to be any good. I saw where Oscar Tshiebwe said that he asked Coach Cal, play a walk-on or somebody that has some heart and some fight in them. Like, his teammates are just not doing it. But other than that, Carlos Correa, one of the wildest signing stories I've seen, he starts last season. He signs a 10-year deal with the Twins with opt-outs at every year. 1 year in, he opts out, and he goes and he's going to sign with the Giants. And the Giants pull up his physical, and he fails because of an ankle injury that happened in 2014, before he was even in the pros. Well, they see that is enough of a red flag to void the contract after a week before he officially signs at his press conference, because they're saying, we're not going to pay you for 12 years with this injury. And then the Mets, Uncle Stevie comes in. He's got blank checks. He's just going to sign anybody and everybody. So he's going to sign him, because obviously he don't think it's a big deal that the Giants walked away. And then the Mets pull up his physical, and they don't like what they see either. And now he signs back with the Twins. He's just right back in the same spot he was. I saw where he signed 31 years worth of deals this offseason.
Oh my gosh.
And none of them went through, but the newest one with the Twins.
I don't get it. When he was shopping around before, was that just nobody knew about the issue? Or, is he going to have some surgery coming up? It's just weird. There's just a lot of question marks, I guess. But I don't know, man. I feel like for a guy like him, I probably maybe would have, just kind of looked the other way.
Yeah, I would have looked at
it. I feel like he's a shortstop that if you can get him. Especially if you can lock him down for 8 to 10 years, it'd be a bonus. Even if he misses a year, for surgery or something, I'd be like, okay, great, just be ready.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Which that reminds me, what is Tatis still suspended? Or what's going on with him?
Yeah, he's still suspended. I think he covered 30 games or something. I think he covered half the suspension last year, so he'll still miss 2 months in the next year.
Dirtbag.
Yeah. But Correa is by far my least favorite player, so I'm cool with...
Yeah, I don't really like him. He's probably the only guy from the Astros teams that I still have beef with.
Altuve.
I just don't even mind Altuve, man.
I'll never forgive Altuve for robbing Judge that MVP. First off, he didn't earn the MVP over Judge anyways. Judge's stats were much better. And then it finds out he's cheating the whole time. So it's just give Judge the MVP.
That's why it's not even his... I don't even think it's his fault. It's the stupid voters. Whoever votes on it is stupid. You look at the stats and it's... What are we even talking about?
Judge should have his second MVP right now. He should be in the same conversations as I guess Bryce Harper and guys like that. He should be a solidified top 5 player in the league. In reality, he's number 1. People still haven't came around on that. I've been beating that horn for about 2 years now. He's as good as they get.
Yeah, I don't. Are you over personally with the Astros? Do you still have beef with them solely because of the cheating?
Yep.
As a franchise.
Yeah, because as a Yankees fan, I have to deal with you haven't won anything since 2009. You've won one championship since 9/11 happened. 2017, the Yankees were the team to beat, and then the Astros just robbed them of it.
Yeah,
that sucks. And it's
sense.
crazy it's crazy if you look back at it. The Altuve home run, the Yankees won all 3 games at home. The only 4 games they lost were the games in Houston when they were cheating.
In Houston.
And you look back knowing what you know, and look at Chapman throwing the slider and right on the outside, perfect pitch, and Altuve barrel hooks it out, and Chapman just starts smiling he knows he's cheating. The only way he hits that out is if he's cheating, and turns out he was. And now Chapman's got a bad rep, the Yankees get a bad rep, when really that should have been their moment.
Yeah. Dude, it almost makes me it makes me really sad seeing those videos of Aroldis Chapman when he's giving up. People have edited and put music over it and stuff. And it makes me sad for him because he's kind of been through it when it comes to playoff appearances. It's like he can just never really get over the hump of doing really good, like late in the playoffs, or catches bad luck, And I feel like that was probably the year he would have broke that, and he didn't. So
yeah, all you gotta do is show up once in the playoffs, and everyone forgets. Like Clayton Kershaw was historically known as a pitcher who sucked in the playoffs. He wins one championship.
Yeah, he was like,
and it
he was like 0-8.
goes away. Yeah. All you gotta do is win once.
It kind of works the opposite way too, because like Mad Bum, for those 6 years or whatever, 3 years that they won it, he was undefeated in the playoffs, and then he loses a couple times and everybody just forgets about him, and it's like, dude, this dude was goated. To me, he still is one of, I feel like he's one of like the most underrated pitchers, like, or maybe not underrated. I think he's, if you talk to a real baseball guy, you're like, yeah, Mad Bum's legit, but he's not talked about anymore from like that era.
Yeah, our era, he should be talked about with the Scherzers, Verlander, and Kershaw. Because at one World Series, he had 2 wins and a save. That's him accounting for 3 of your 4 wins you have to get. Like, that's incredible.
Oh, man. That's like what Corey Kluber tried to do against the Cubs. He just couldn't do it. He tried to get the 3 wins. But, I don't know. Red Sox are in shambles. They just signed Kluber to a 1-year deal, so that's pretty cool.
They did sign Rafi Big Scoops for $100 million more than what the Braves signed Austin Riley for basically the same player statistically. So
yeah, statistically they're like exactly the same. Except I don't think Austin Riley looks as dumb when he swings and misses.
And I don't have nightmares about Austin Riley.
Some people do.
Devers definitely does. I was not happy about that signing at all because he is the guy for the Yankees. That you can't get him out.
Yeah, he's tough to get out anyways. Like in big games, I feel like he always shows up. Always shows up in big games. But I don't know, man. That's all I got. Pretty good draft. Basketball season's on us. I mean, we got the NFL playoffs. We could break that down later on. Kind of after the wild card gets settled. But right before we end? Who's your favorite?
NFC. I'm gonna go with the 49ers. And really, I'm not dead set on that. Just because I don't love Brock Purdy being my quarterback. But I don't trust the Eagles either. AFC, I'm going to take the Bengals. Bengals 49ers.
I was thinking Bengals too. I think they're on like a revenge tour and they're much better. But the Chiefs are still good. So I love watching the AFC playoffs. I don't know what it is. I mean, there's better teams, but I feel like it's just an all-out war every year in the AFC side.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly the NFC might be setting up for Tom Brady. Like, who's stopping him? A beat-up Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott. Like,
they ain't getting it done.
What's scary about the AFC too is Patrick Mahomes is the oldest one in the playoffs. AFC starters. He's like 27. Like Trevor Lawrence legit has a chance to be like one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he may never be a top 3 player in the league. Like Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow are all in the AFC and all still have 15 years left ahead of them of being elite quarterbacks.
It's crazy. Trevor Lawrence is kind of cool. I mean, he's kind of fun to watch. Like, I hated him in college, obviously, for obvious reasons. And watching him kind of do work, like watching him in the Titans game the other night, I was like, man, This dude is sick.
I love him, dude. He is awesome.
He misses a couple. He missed a couple throws, but I mean that's very out of character. Like he makes those normally. But yeah, no, he's cool to watch. I like watching him.
That's it.
But,
appreciate you guys.
All right, man. Let's get out of here.